Hi everyone, welcome to the SQL learning session. On the day 6, we are going to cover aggregate functions. So, a couple of aggregate functions grouped by and having our primary focus today. Let us, without wasting much time, let's move on to the query window and experience how we can use group by. So, I have a table which is loaded from a CSV file with around 99 records. So if I know like most of you may not aware like how to import the data to a database, which you can use that I have a YouTube video which is specifically for importing data. So you can refer that. I'll be sharing the link in the description. You can use that to import the same dataset. I'll also be sharing the query and as well as the dataset in a public URL where you will be able to access and like learn the same query. Okay, so now we have this patient info database, right? Patient info table. So I wanted to like see how many records are there. Fortunately, like it's very less in number, you can see on the right side. But if I have to learn that, right, I can use count function. So when like you had 99 record initially, now it aggregated into one record and it is showing a count. And if you wanted to name this column is named as no name, right, you can use as count of records, then I'll run it again. So it's just count of record. So this naming convention or this naming method is called aliasing, which you can use it along with the table name and everything, and this can be referred later. Okay, so this count is giving me how many records are there in the table, and it's not just that, right? Imagine you have this billing amount. I wanted to know what is the total billing amount in this table. Correct? It may not be. What was wrong? Okay, yeah, so billing space amount, it will throw in another error, right? So what is this? Because I gave the right column name, still is throwing error. You have seen the space, right? You would not be able to use space in the column names directly in SQL, but SQL still allow space in the column name. How do you fix it? So you need to put a square bracket if there are columns with space coming in your table, right? You need to put a square bracket so that like SQL knows whatever starts from here until here is representing one column. Now the issue is fixed, like SQL identified a billing space amount as a column, and it gave you the result. But normally if you think a functional requirement, right, you are not going to take the entire data, right? You will try to understand a little more detail. So let us see the data set again. See what I can see. I can get records maybe after a particular date what is the total, or I can see how many people with blood group as AB positive admitted in the hospital, right? Let us see, it's an interesting count. Or like I just wanted to see number of people admitted in the hospital for each blood group, correct? So what do you need? You need count, correct? You need count of entire data. That's totally fine, because you know this information in this table is like one record per patient, right? So that means like if I ask you like how many patient have admitted in this hospital, it is the total count, that is 99, right? So now like my requirement is slightly different. Maybe, yeah, I'll keep it even more simple, right? We have gender column, right? I just noticed. So I just wanted to know how many male and female people are admitted in this hospital, right? They have admitted in this data set probably. So you have a gender column that you know this information, you know the gender column that would give you the information of male and female, right? So if you have to get the data, what you have to do practically is like you wanted to group the data based on that column, correct? Because you wanted to, you need the count, technically you need the count, but not the entire count. You need the count of records based on the gender, because gender has male and female information. So why I'm telling you this in detail, right? More than just writing a group by function, I want you to process and understand how you can generate or how you can write a query by understanding the requirement, correct? So here my requirement is like I wanted to get male and female count from the table, so that is from gender. So technically you need to group the data based on gender. Okay, so let me run this. Okay, it is giving me some numbers 54 and 45. I have no idea what it is, right? So which gender it is? So you have a flexibility here. When you take a count, you can use, or you can only use what are the column you are using in the group by in the select statement. Now this is little more interesting, right? You know, like 54 female and 45 male are there in your data. I'll just keep it as like patient count or p underscore count, right? So now you got that number, correct? So this is how like you can construct the query. Now if you wanted to say, okay, I got the count, I also wanted to know what is the total billing amount, right? Billing amount for gender wise. So we can use that word gender wise. So what is the total billing amount came for female and male? Now you got that as well. So this is what like you can use multiple functions, right? You can use multiple aggregate functions inside a query. It is not just aggregate functions. You can also use multiple columns here, but that has to be, let us try to admission date, right? We have an admission date column. What happens if I try to run this query? It is going to throw an error. Column patient info dot admission date is invalid in the selects list because it is not contained either an aggregate function or the group by clause. So because when you use any column along with a group by in a select statement, that should either be part of group by or part of aggregate. So because admission date is not in my group by, that is why I am not able to use admission date in my select query. But what you can still do here is the statement is very clear in the error that what you are using in select, but you can still use any column for the sake here admission date which is in the filter, right? So for Jan 2020, so I can still apply this admission date condition in where condition because it doesn't throw an error, right? So when you use this where condition, right? So how this query is going to execute? You wanted to select a data from the patient info dataset table where admission date is greater than 1st of Jan 2020 and you wanted to apply. So the first thing which happens in this query is filter. Okay, then the data like the group by aggregations, all these activities or even order by, everything applies on top of a filter data. So how you filter is not really like the filter data would be used. So whatever the column you use in the filter is not really a criteria for group by. So that like you can apply any filters, any columns in the table to filter the data before group by, but you will not be able to use any columns other than group by columns in the select, but you can still use here inside the aggregate. Okay, so that is how you have to understand when you see the error what you have seen few minutes ago, just keep that in mind. It is because you used a column which is not there in the group by. But just keep also this in mind. You can use it is not necessary to use an group by column in your aggregate function, like in the select statement. Without even the group by column, your select work, the only condition is the other way around. Okay, so now imagine that I wanted to filter this data after the group by, right? So this may not be a great condition here. So this is how you comment single line of code. Okay, so I'll say admission date. So I have so many admission dates, right? Then I'll apply this admission date filter. So I'm going to get okay, so these are all one. Yeah, so yeah, so I'll order by 2. So when I say order by 2, right, this is going to order the data based on the second column. If I is what I am trying to get here is like, is there any patient admitted more than one, is there any patient admitted on any of this date which is more than one? So here, since I have very small data set, I have only one date, like that is 2020 May 15. We have like 2 patient admission, right? But imagine like you have so many records like that. You cannot apply a count function in where. So let us try that, right? When you say that, okay, I wanted to see what are the date I have more than one patient admitted in the hospital. So we already have count. So let us try applying this count here, right? So my requirement is like count of this is greater than 1, right? So rest all remains same. I run the query. So you learn a different error here. An aggregate may not appear in the where clause unless it is subquery contain a having clause. Okay. So you would not be able to use a where condition with an aggregate function, right? But you still wanted to filter your data. That is your requirement, right? You have an aggregation applied and you wanted to filter the data. So that is where having comes for a rescue. So I have something called having. You can still use this count. So you can use all the aggregate function here. So greater than 1, and I run the query. So I got, so now what my result has, it has only the admission date which were having the patient count more than 1. Right? If I had like a bigger data set, I would have had multiple records, right? And I can sort it. Sorry. Order by 1. Now since I have one record, it does not make sense. But I'll be able to say that, okay, from the date of May 15, I started getting more than 1 patient count, and this may be a continuous. So you would be able to understand the data pattern. So the takeaway from this discussion is like, you can use aggregate functions in the having to filter, and aggregate functions group by used along with aggregate function to aggregate data based on a particular scenario requirement, right? So these are the major thing which I wanted to cover here. So thank you for watching. Please share if you have any comments in comment section. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share if you are feeling value from this session. Thank you.